Hello and welcome to Empyrion, Galactic Survival, Reforged Eden Scenario 1.10. I'm Winslow and we are getting ready to leave the starter systems today. We are finally progressing beyond the start. We may still come back to them. They still have a lot of really good things for us to use for trade and their stations and lots of stuff to do. But I want to get out and about and set up a semi-permanent base. I want to be planet side. I want to have some good solar. I just want to get out there. Now, ultimately, I would love to find a colonist scrapyard, and they are in hot class star systems, which are class K, O, and B. And the different types of star systems, you've got your habitable star systems, which have your traditional habitable planets. Cold systems, which have weaker or colder stars. So you tend to have colder planets. And then hot systems, which tend to have hotter planets, jungles, lava, arid, hell planets, etc. You've also then got exotic systems, which tend to have some special alien encounters, and anomaly systems, black holes, and rogue stars. Rogue systems, which are actually not stars, they're just planets. Rogue planets, which are just floating out and about in the galaxy, which we'll see eventually. But for right now, I'm doing one last stop at a trade station. I want to get some better. I want to get a better suit, like combat suit, and see if we can get any. See right there? Yep. Scrapyard. See if I can get some good armor boosters so that I can have a space EVA suit, and then when I'm planet side, I can have a good medium armor with some good boosters so that I don't have to switch out my boosters in light armor. Also, if I'm going to be on a planet, I'm going to want something with more armor and a little bit more mobility while we're down on the ground. We've been fortunate enough to deal with either zero gravity out in space or low gravity on the Dread Starter. But we'll see what we find when we're out and about traveling around. Now, the trade station here has some pretty good vendors in it. MA Corp tends to have good things like it. That's where you can get gold ingots and platinum ingots if you're looking for them. Station Quartermaster tends to have garbage, and then Servant Outfitters will have suits and armor and boosters and stuff. You can also tend to, at trade stations, you can find a medical clinic, which will sell you medicine. There's usually a bar where, strangely enough, you can buy crew members. And then usually a weapons and arms shop or a tech shop. And then the other types of stations that you have are the Kennex stations, which are more common in the starter systems around the story planets, the named planets. And those just have different sets of vendors. The most important ones being the Quantum Star shopkeeper, who will sell auto miners, superconductors, and the optronic bridges and matrix, both small and large. And then there's a interweapons armaments, just like this guy, but there's a Xerax merchant that you can talk to. And these are a really good way to get small upgrade kits and any of the weapon upgrade kits. Okay, so that's trade stations. So, and don't pick any of the vegetables because Polaris will shoot you. They will blow up your ship and they'll kill you in the station. So don't do it. But yeah, we'll get back in the ship and get on our way. Now, around sun sectors, there is on occasion satellites, and you can engage in a little bit of hacking. They're faction satellites. You don't have to worry about losing any faction rep. The only thing that I recommend is if you're going up to a satellite for a faction that you are unfriendly or below with, turn off your guns. You can't hurt the satellites because I believe they have admin cores in them. But so basically, you go up to the console here and you initiate a hacking attempt. It doesn't matter what you pick for the node at the beginning, but the formula that you want to follow while you're going from screen to screen here is high, low, high. And this is all in the tutorial that your PDA will tell you. But your first signifier for hacking, S, which is, I want to say security, is high. E is encryption. You want that to be low. And F is file size, and you want that to be high. There's also data vaults that you can capture, which tend to have high encryption, but you get things for it. You can get additional hacking software, or you can get unlock points or credits. And it's typically not worth it to go for the data points. You're really only going for the data chip at the end. You can also get security cards out of loot boxes, which some security cards will allow you to just fully bypass the security of the satellite and you get the data at the end. You can also use any hacking software you have partway through, which will either improve your capture rate or reduce the security system's capture rate. And basically, you are trying to get to 100% before they get to 100%. So remember, high, low, high. You want your S high, your E low, your F high. And there's quite a number of uses for the information that you can get from the satellites. There are data brokers that will buy them. There are some regular merchants and vendors out and about that will buy them. And then there's some specific data that you can use as part of a quest that you find later on in the game. You may find a POI that wants to build a quantum computer. And one of the steps is that they need satellite data. I don't remember specifically which data they're looking for, but it's probably just a good idea if you want to build a quantum computer that you just hold on to any data that you get from hacking. Okay, access granted. So I got some planetary resource data and money and hacking software. And I did end up originally getting a lot of money from my trading with Polaris. Total, I got over 2 million credits, which is more than enough to get any components that I would need as far as like upgrade kits. So I'm just going to go from star to star, all of these hot type stars, and see what we find. You won't know what's in the star system until you warp into it, until it's been discovered. So it's not like you can't just sit and chart out from the comfort of your own ship. You have to actually go system to system. And this star system has 3 suns and a bunch of hot planets. And a hell planet is a good source for some gold. But some hell planets also have faction drones. They're from the drone lands on hell planets, and you can attack them for and harvest them for drone parts if you find them on a hell planet. But I don't think any of them are in neutral space. I think they're only in like Xerax space. I found them. I could be wrong, but again, there's not a lot of data on it, so that's something that maybe we'll uncover later on. But hell planets have higher gravity than most other planets or many other planets. And I don't think my little ship here has sufficient thrust to be able to safely get into the atmosphere and then escape. But we're going to go see how close we can get, how close we can comfortably get before I want to leave. Hell planets also have rich resources with magmasite, which you need for magnetic plates, and voidium, which you need for dark matter. So this hell planet is very close to the sun. I don't even think that was 0.1 AU. I think that was really just right in the corona of the sun as these planets. It is so weird. They're doubling up here, but I know that there's only one planet instead of moons, but it's doubled up on the map. But none of these planets would actually survive, I don't think. I think they would just be burnt up if they were that close to the sun. But here I am just a little bit closer, checking for my distance, and I'm just checking on my ship panel, my control panel, the available thrust that I have, my available lift. And I'm not liking what I'm seeing because I don't want to actually enter the atmosphere if I can't guarantee, because I still got a half a kilometer to go before I break atmosphere, and I just don't, I can't do it yet. I'd have to reconfigure my thrusters. So we'll note this and come back. Let's go to another star. After we get some fuel. So one nice thing you'll see in a lot of systems is you'll see a lot of pentaxid asteroids, and they changed them in Reforged Eden. In vanilla, pentaxid lasts you an absurd amount of time. You fill up your tank once and you're good for a long time. In Reforged Eden, it costs a lot more fuel to go from system to system. So to offset that, they put pentaxid asteroids in a lot of places. They're much more common, but they're also different. They're these large crystalline structures that you harvest. In vanilla, they're just like every other asteroid. They're just kind of a blob. But I prefer them this way. It's nice to be able to go to a system nearby and then harvest your own fuel if you don't want to pay for it. Okay, this looks promising. We've got a combat site that I can't do yet. We've got a lava type planet where there's gold asteroids in orbit. I like that. There's gold in Zascosium on planet side. Okay. There's a temperate planet with, it looks like a barren moon and a temperate moon. A couple dead planets, which still, even though there's not much on them, they tend to be good for salvaging if I need to go salvage anything. There's a sandy barren moon, which has aluminum, which I will need. Crystal moon's got a restroom. I've got a Polaris trade sector and a Polaris mining or asteroid sector. Okay. We've got a volcanic moon around a gas giant. I've got an arid planet. I've got a barren metal with lots of Arestrum and Zescosium and gold. I bet I could mine out all the gold on the lava planets and cause meteorites. I'll need to check there, but that might cause meteorites, gold meteorites to spawn. And then I could set up auto miners for Arestrum and Zescosium and probably go to one of these is a nascent moon. There's 2 nascents. I could set up pentaxid miners there. And then on the temperate planet, Prometheum miners. This is a pretty solid system. And it's only a few light years from starter systems. No calling a scrapyard, but there's a pirate station here, and pirate stations have many gold asteroids around them, and they're rich. They tend to have more gold than your regular gold asteroids. So when I've got a warship, I can go assault the station, pay some pirates back for throwing me on a dead planet, burn their station to the ground. This is a nice, safe little temperate sector. Yeah. Now just to make sure that the planet's actually got trees, because I'll need them. There was one temperate planet I went to that it was all plains. And there were no trees. So it was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not getting any wood on this planet. Because my whole purpose of coming here so I could make carbon substrate is not going to happen. Yeah, this whole star system has everything I need for any kind of ships I'm going to make. So that's promising. We'll see what kind of Xerox presence and Polaris presence are on this temperate. And there's probably a lot of tal'on here too. The tal'on bazaars and townships, the settlements are great for trading. They're going to be your best source for diamonds, raw diamonds, which you need for lasers. But they don't accept credit from the bank. They only take cash cards, so bring cash with you. So this planet has a good axial tilt. There is longer days than nights at the South Pole. And I have scouted out here a good landing spot between 2 large Xerax outposts. But it's got a medium-sized Prometheum ore deposit here, which I can set an auto miner on, and I'm right by the ocean with water, so I can put out hydrogen collectors, and then I can start cranking out some fuel cells. But it's time to make a harvester. So I have some blueprints that I'm going to start using. This one is a small little harvester hover vessel done by Jay Randall, who does a lot of the ships for Empyrion. It's cheap and efficient to use and has enough space so that you can upgrade it. I'm going to put a CPU block in it and a shield on it with some pentaxid so that it can withstand a hit from an enemy. It doesn't have any weapons on it, but it's got drills and a harvest module for trees and plants. And I put a docking pad on the side of it so it can just sit right, I can just connect right to the side of my ship. It's just small. It's got everything you need. These big stone pillars are great for early crushed stone if you need. If you're building a concrete base, these are good to take out. Just forget how slow the regular drills are, but this ship will be perfect. I very rarely ever had a problem with these little moles because if you treat them well, keep them protected, they'll get you all the resources that you need. They don't really have any defenses though, so that's why I'm bringing the capital chip with me. I guess you can use the harvest module to kill spiders, which that's fun. That's nice and festive. The spiders will mess you up. They're no joke. But they're also a great source for meat and alien parts. And it looks like they killed a Triceratops. So that should be a lot of meat. Yup. It's gonna be a burger. There's a lot of Xerox on this planet. There's a lot of drones flying around everywhere. There's a lot of POIs for me to break, and now that I'm on a planet with a breathable atmosphere, I can actually let my hair out. I love it. Winslow with the afro and the porn stash. Okay, let's get mining. I'm gonna go for a copper deposit, which is nearby here. I need to get copper and iron in silica so that I can start making ingots for the base that I'm going to be using. For the blueprints that I'm using for the mole and the base, I will go ahead and link them on the Steam shop in the description. There's usually not a lot of good selection for bases that are lightweight but powerful. The base that I'm using, which I've used many times in the past, just has a lot of storage. It has 8 storage containers or container controllers at 320,000 storage volume each. It comes with 2 advanced constructors. You can put in any number of additional constructors. It has a spot for 2 furnaces, for shield, for pentaxid, and you can upgrade the solar, which we'll be doing, especially because we have unlocked trade with these Solaris amp factories. We can buy the solar cells needed for the advanced solar. This is Farpoint. This is kind of a modular building that Jay Randall has a number of buildings that can go along with it to make a sort of compound. I tend to just build the base compound, and you got to be careful when you're placing a base because you can't pick it up and fix it. You'd have to completely destroy it and dismantle it and rebuild it. So I'm just trying to make sure as best as I can that it's not too deep in the ground, but not far enough out of the water right here on the shoreline. There it is. Can't undo it. I think it's fine. Now that that's on its foundation and set, I need to fuel it up and shield it up. And I'm going to transfer all of the building materials that I have in this ship. This base is really good for just kind of like general all-purpose storage because it just can hold so much. It has it has 8 container controllers, so, and a lot of additional boxes. And it has Gatling cannons, turrets, not Gatlings. Machine gun turrets, minigun turrets. I know this game, I swear. I absolutely have 1,600 hours in this game. So I know what I'm talking about. Machine gun turrets, and I'm going to put in a small shield generator. Let's get inside. Okay, first things first, I'm moving my building materials. I usually put those in box number 1. Box number 1 is going to be my main construction input. And then box 2 is usually my component output, but most things I just keep on container 1. And then one of the containers I specifically hold aside for fuel. One I specifically hold aside for ammo production. One is specifically for recycling when I get dismantlers and I want to recycle all of this stuff down to base components. Also, that's what you need for the rich asteroid mining is you need to deconstruct or recycle the ore, which is silly to me, but okay. And then I'm going to work on upgrading the solar. First is I've got to build pentaxid and a shield. It doesn't need much because you're never going to have much of a base assault. As long as you don't tick off the tal'on, because they will, in their assault, they can dismantle or they can disable your shields. So don't do that. Unless you're going to play on a planet that does not have tal'on. And Jay Randall has done a good job of designating where upgrades can go and where he is designed them to go. In most of his creations, he's really good about that. There's usually some sort of LCD panel and then labeled spots for upgrades. Okay. Shield generator goes in the shield spot. I'm not building the big one. I'm just building the small one. And then we need I don't really need to put oxygen here because it is a breathable atmosphere, but I am still going to put an oxygen and turn it on because I will have a garden. Up on one of the sides, there's spots for hydroponics. And if there's ever a radiation storm that comes through and you don't have an oxygenated area or a secured area, it'll kill all of your crops. I learned that by trying to farm underground on a a planet with breathable atmosphere because my crop plots were technically outdoors, and a radiation fog storm rolled through and killed them all. We're going to put in a CPU block. I used in the blueprint, I dropped in the 2 improved CPU extenders that I got from the escape shuttle back on the Dread starter. That gave me the optronics that I needed for this base. But since it is a vanilla creation, it does not, he only put in the highest tier CPU that was needed. In Reforged Eden, you need all of the pieces for proper CPU. And then I'm also going to put in a bunch of solar capacitors because I want this to be 100% solar, which is why it's at the South Pole, where we've got like 80% daytime and 20% nighttime. I wish there was an option for wind power generation like in Space Engineers, or, you know, if you're on a lava, not a lava, I guess you could do it on a lava, but on any planet that would have any sort of steam vents or geothermal, you could do that. That would be great. But no, they don't have that. It's not implemented. Always remember your shield needs to be out for you to place components, but then remember to turn it back on when you're done. Otherwise, your base or your ship is vulnerable. Now, these solar capacitors, they start to charge when your solar panels are in sunlight. And the amount of solar charge you get from them depends on the direction that they're facing. And realistically, any atmospheric conditions, if it's stormy, it's going to block solar. Nighttime, of course, it's going to block solar. And also, if you're in a system with a weak sun, that can limit your solar options. My last multiplayer playthrough, I was on a cold planet, a cold temperate planet in a cold star system where I was not even able to get solar working in space. But I got it working on planet because I went to advanced solar panels. So we'll eventually get that all set up. And it will start charging. And then you can do some micromanaging of your solar usage, but you don't really, or of your power usage, but you don't have to, because your components go into an idle state when they're not being used. So it's not like you have to turn on or off your constructors or your furnaces. It doesn't benefit you to actually turn them off because they have the same amount of usage idling or turned off for CPU and power usage, which is silly, but I get it. And that, my friends, is our base setup. Over across there where that green LCD is that's up where the garden is. So if I want to put in hydroponics, that's up there. My fridges are up there, and the food processors are up there as well, which I'll probably move the food processors down to the main production floor here. But that is it. We've got all of our stuff put away. We can start sorting. And then I think what I'm going to do is convert this little ship into a mining ship. I'll just replace the container controller with a harvest controller, and then I can build some mining lasers and put on the front. Maybe a tool turret on the top so I can salvage stuff. Sadly, those things don't work planet side, so I'll either have to have a small vessel or a hover vessel. to be able to harvest things planet side, but it'll be a good little craft to go do chores with. Because once you set up your auto miners, there are things that you have to check. So you got your daily chores. You have to go refuel them. You have to go collect the resources from them. And this will be a good ship to do that with while I work on building a warship. I don't know if I want to build a combat ship or if I want to build a carrier first. I'll probably build a combat ship. The problem when I build a carrier is that I tend to just take everything with me. And I think I'd rather have a more solid base of operations. But we'll work that out in the future. As of for right now, I want to thank you for watching. And next time we will be harvesting, and I'll be making some auto miners and setting those up. And we're going to be exploring the nearby planets. So, see you then. Bye.